So when the tide comes in and all boats rise and you want to be a speedboat rather than an oil tanker.
Never been in a boat, apart from a ferry. I don't know why I use that analogy.
You talk there maybe in 6 months' time, power could be worth a lot more than it is currently. What key things are you looking out for then amongst the activities with the portfolio of Power Method Resources that will help that transformation?
Yeah, okay, so we have a limited pool of capital to deploy, so we have to make sure it goes into the good stuff in our business, which may not be, and the best stuff may not be what investors are necessarily focusing in on. I do have this challenge. I knew I would have this challenge that when we built our portfolio, North America, Africa, Australia, that we would have a larger portfolio than the market could easily understand and engage with, and we would have to communicate through that period. We'd have to work through that period. And as the discoveries start to come in across our business, in different jurisdictions, in different continents, people will go, blimey, okay, I could see this being formed. I didn't entirely get it and understand it at first, but if we drill in Golconda in North America and we find that very high grade near surface gold from historical work is demonstrated with a big kind of 2 or 3 holes of gold discovery, and then that will make sense. We drill Kanye in a joint venture with Kavango in Botswana and the Kalahari Copper Belt. People will say, I knew Paul had been involved with Botswana before. I've seen, the success that T3 generated for Metal Tiger MOD and sold out ultimately to Sandfire. I could see what he was doing. I just didn't think that the lightning could strike twice, and it does strike twice. Then that will make people go, oh, okay. And then ditto, if we're successful, we put the holes in, and then there's a big, rare earth discovery. They'll go, he's talked about this for a long period of time. Australia, we've sat ourselves in Victoria. Only just has there been an announcement from Fosterville South, just to the east of one of our major license blocks called Kilmore Project, where they found 11 meters of an ounce a ton gold. We sat ourselves in the right places, and then we will do our drilling, various areas in our portfolio in Australia, and we'll find something significant, I'm sure. And then the market will go, there's another one. And then in the FDR, in the Patterson, where we're targeting Javieron type, Greatland Gold type discoveries, we've got deep drill targets that could yield major discoveries in the space of 1 or 2 holes. It has that potential. If we get lucky with those holes up there, then the value that will be generated will be disproportionate. And people will say, I saw the story. They talked about the story, and what they were looking to do. So I think we will see much more strength as we move into the autumn in our space, natural resources, and then through into next year. I think our business is perfectly aligned with its exploration work, and particularly with its drill programs planned, to marry up nicely with a growth in positivity in the junior resource space. And I think we have a phenomenal shot, the best of any company I have seen, of having multiple discoveries in our portfolio in the near term.
So you're positioned very well, you feel. Market conditions should improve, particularly in the mining and exploration space, the commodities space. Fundamentals really tell us that is going to happen. It's more a case of when, not if, we see a big swing in the commodity space. And you're exploring, waiting to get that major metal discovery.
And it's all about timing. Because if you release the right kind of news at the right time in the market cycle, you have a disproportionate effect. You can release the same news when things are not going particularly well, like now, And if you get the timing wrong, then you don't get the returns. We have got to, as a business, we've got to respect, amongst all the other things we've talked about, where the market is. And there's no point worrying about, there being a frustrating down cycle or down phase in I think is ultimately a very strong bull cycle. But I have to accept that the news I put out to market right now will not get the recognition necessarily that it would do in a positive, upbeat phase. In the last week, any one of our announcements in the last week that we've put out could have seen a 50% go in our share price in a more bull phase in the market. That's 200%. We've released 4 things. And it doesn't. So what am I doing it for? I'm doing it because putting news out is the best way to say to the shareholders, we actually give a toss. We are doing things and we're telling you about it. I'm doing it because I've had 12 years experience of this, and I know that people have memories. Investors have some of the best memories going when it comes to positive news flow. We lock into positivity. So it's going in and people will be seeing what we're doing. They might not have the financial capacity or willingness to buy at the moment, but they're lining up because they see the story emerge. And that is our ethos all the way through. And I also think the fundamentals of the market are absolutely clear. You know, it's not speculate. Back in 2009 to 11, it was speculation, I think, of a Chinese driven super cycle. No one really knew where it was going and what would happen. And we thought, as investors, private investors, a private investor in my case then, that, 10 was a phenomenal year. And we haven't had the 2010 experience in the UK market yet at all. And then 11 started really well, but then we had the European crisis and things went off the boil. And the super cycle didn't really kick in. But we didn't have anything then like we have today, where you have American president talking about a massive infrastructure bill. And all the Western governments talking about massive infrastructure spend. The Chinese government talking about enormous spend on infrastructure. We know there's a massive amount of demand coming. The EV green revolution is going to drive dramatic amounts of demand. I saw an article in the FT that was effectively saying that in order to get to this point where we can say, we have a green world, we're going to have to dig copper and nickel and so on out of the ground. And are lots of the concerns about environmental related issues that have been really putting the pressure on resource projects and might have to be adjusted to enable the metals to be produced to support the green revolution. Well, I think most companies and most projects will still be mined in an environmentally positive way now. I think it's just the way the world is, but it shows the level of demand that's coming. And there hasn't been the supply built over the last 20 years. It's just not there. So we have high demand and low supply, and it will catch up eventually as metal prices rise. But as commodity prices rise, because they have to, then the juniors in particular will see disproportionate increases in their valuations, because what they're looking for and what they might have will be incredibly valuable. And so we will have proper valuations. So you think 50 million quid on a junior resource exploration company is quite peaky at the moment as a value. It's going to be nothing in the future. It's going to be the entry level for a new resource co listed in the major markets, I think. And I think we're going to hundreds of millions for decent companies, and those that have real successes, we're going to see billions on the valuations.
And that's where you're heading.
And that's when my crystal ball gets really foggy.
Well, Paul Johnson, the CEO of Palmetto Resources, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.